What's happening, everyone? Before this next leg of podcast show starts, this is a reminder to you not to be a minge bag. Go over to Patreon, sign up for £1 a week and take advantage of all the Patreon perks. It is the Patreon that pays. We have a betting show on a Saturday, which the postman here is picking winners every single week.
Yeah, the betting show comes out Saturday mornings, covers UFC and boxing, footy when we're in the footy season. But yeah, we're winning on a weekly basis. I can't remember the last week we didn't find some sort of winner. So yeah, as Andy says, don't be a minge bag, come and get involved. And as I say, it's one of the best communities that you could be a part of, isn't it?
It's a belter. As well as the betting show on a Wednesday, me and Jord have a chat. That's where you might have seen on our Insta Reels about crocs, about harpooning people at the end of the night, all that kind of chat that goes on. And even better, every single Wednesday we do a raffle draw, and our sponsors Montrex give £100 gift voucher away just for being on Patreon. No better time to join. There's 30 plus episodes already that you can go back and watch. Again, no better time. Get involved. Don't be a minge bag. £1 a week, and we'll see you there. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant.
It's me, Jordan Neild.
What's happening, everyone? Hope you all have a boss weekend. Before we start, big shout out again. Montrex, our main sponsors. Link is in the bio if you want some discounts off them. Also, Veer Clothing, you get 20% off them if you type in leg at 20, not to mention Health Kick Kitchen, sorting you out for all your scran needs. Also, for those of you that are missing out at the moment, on Patreon, we're giving away £100 every week of Montrex vouchers just for being on Patreon. Not only that, you get an extra Wednesday show where me and Jordan take the piss out of each other, answer all your questions and talk about the things going on in the world, anything and everything really. Also, you've got the Postman's betting show. Well, it's my betting show as well, but the Postman's been on fire and I wasn't last week, so you've got that as well. So all the more reason to get signed up. We are also doing a fantasy football league that's solely exclusive to Patreon. There's about 1,500 quid in the pot so far. I think we're going to be putting that up to 2,000, or it will be at least 2,000 by the end of the weekend. So again, get signed up, get involved in the fantasy footy, as it's going to be bigger and better this year. Say last year we gave away, I think it was just over £2,000, and we're doing the same again this year. So again, get signed up for Patreon and get involved in the fantasy. You've got until 6:30 tonight to get involved.
Lad, I'm so invested in fancy footy.
Have you done your team yet?
Yeah, it's heavy.
Lad, not heavier than mine.
Are you going? What formation are you going?
Lad, I think we should actually just spend a little bit of time on this because, like I say, the Prem is back. It's the bread and butter of the show. And I picked my team proper early, lad, to be honest.
I know. Lad, I'm that invested, right? I'm balls deep in YouTube content. Me missus called me a gimp yesterday because I was watching it on YouTube. She was like, "You're watching two fellas sitting in gaming chairs talking about fancy football players. You are a gimp." But,
yeah, I'm in about 6 different leagues for starters. I've spent about 100 quid paying 20 quid entry fees in loads of different leagues. And lad, I've gone, well, to be honest, last year people were saying, weren't they, on the Sportscast, you should do a fancy footy, and I was a bit like, I'm not really into it. And then we put it out there and got over £2,000 in the pot. So it's the same again this year. And now that I know just how important it is, I'm involved. And we had old Richard Kirk on the old Patreon who just absolutely flew away with it. Went away with 1,200 quid. So I'm going to
win that this year, me.
I don't mind revealing a little bit about my team because it's fucking heavy.
How many Liverpool players you got?
3.
How many City players?
2.
Come on, then, let's hear your team, lad.
So I was going to mention actually when we get talking about footy, but Dean Henderson come out this week and he's just made his moves to Notts Forest. He's gone in as my number 1.
Not bad shout, huh?
Got a point to prove, and he's fairly cheap. At the back, I'm going to argue and reckon I've got the best back 3 you can have.
There's your mistake already.
Not going for a back 4?
Lad, from all my research, it's all about the fullbacks, man.
Yeah, exactly. I've got 3 fullbacks.
I've got 4.
Robbo, Trent and Nico Williams.
Do you want to hear my 4 at the back?
Can I just say first, Nico Williams will be a star kind of fantasy player.
Flop. Lad, I'm telling you now, get on this for the... So my goalie's Danny Ward because he's Kasper Schmeichel just left. Brendan Rodgers said he's going to go in as the number 1. 4 mil. Done.
Not a bad shout, yeah.
My back 4, Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, Reece James.
You know what? I had Reece James in, but as you'll hear in a minute, he had to get bombed because of the sheer heaviness of my front six.
Let's go for your midfield then, come on.
Right, well, I'd argue they're not midfielders, but they go in as midfielders on this. I've gone for Jacob Murphy in Newcastle.
Okay.
Only about 4.5 million, but he, got 62 points last year. He was just a bit of a, I'll be honest, no disrespect to you, lad, but he's just gone in there to be, just to make up the numbers. The main three are Jack Grealish, Mo Salah, and Son.
Oh, tasty that.
Yeah.
Tasty
Salah
that.
obviously is, I think Salah and Trent are like, not even being a red, I just think they need to be in there.
They're the best players in the game, lad.
So I think Jack Grealish, mate, I think he'll have a good season. He was poor last by his numbers, but I really do think he'll come on leaps and bounds. I think Mo Salah will just be Mo Salah. And I also think Tottenham are going to be really good this season. I got them to finish third. So with that being the case, I think Son will be having a good season. So yeah, Son, Salah, Murphy, and Grealish make up my midfield four.
Not bad. Mine is Mo Salah, skipper every single game. Martinelli from Arsenal. Jack Grealish, because I agree with you. He's had a decent pre-season. Foden hasn't played a minute in pre-season. Like, really, I think Grealish and Haaland are going to have a serious link-up. And then my other two. So I'm going 4-5-1.
Oof.
So my other two are purely in for a fixture. And then I've already pre-planned the departure to bring in someone else. Nice. So the other two are Leon Bailey and Coutinho, because they're going away to Bournemouth. I don't know if you've seen Scott Parker's comments this week, but he said, my team's worse than the one that got promoted.
Really?
Yeah, he said, they've lost 8 players and signed 1 or something. They got nothing. I think they'll be down by Christmas.
Wow.
And then Stevie was saying about Leon Bailey coming back as a different animal. He just looks sharp. He's banging goals in pre-season. So I'm hoping him and Coutinho run riot at Bournemouth.
What price are you getting Bailey for?
5 mil.
See, I'm just $500,000 short. But you're saying that I was going to swap him with Murphy, but
did you lose $1 million on your goalie?
Lad, he's already fucking. I can't go any lower, lad. He's 4.5 now.
He's a free.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you know what, lad, you make good points there, but it's got not on the fact that I've got Son, Salah, and you're going to earn me front three now, lad. You may as well just give me your money now.
Go on.
I've gone me front three. I've gone for Haaland, Jesus, and Lyle Taylor for Notts Forest.
Not bad. I've gone for a sole striker of Harry Kane. With the idea.
He's notoriously for not scoring in August, though, isn't he?
I know, but have you seen they've got Southampton at home, haven't they? So my pre-planned transfer is to go, because I think West Ham away for City is not a hard game, but quite a tricky one. So without giving away all my secrets and all the homework I've done, my idea is to be able to swap out, because Spurs go to Chelsea second day, to be able to do a straight swap with Kane and Haaland, because Haaland plays Bournemouth at home in his second game. So it's all up here, lad. It's all up here.
Yeah, no, I can see you thinking that, but just looking at that team sheet, lad, I just think if I can name 6-7 players that are going to win me this tournament: Trent, Robbo, Salah, Son, Grealish, Haaland, Jesus.
I'm against the Jesus thing.
Nah, lad, he's going to be flying.
I don't agree. He's owned by 70% of players in Fantasy Premier League, and I've obviously gone against it. But even just talking about footy in general, this thing of getting carried away so much in pre-season is such a fucking dud. That I bet you now. I said to my brother yesterday, I was speaking to him, Crystal Palace are 7-2 against Arsenal. That's crazy. Arsenal are so common for looking unbelievable and delivering absolutely nothing. They won't go there and smash Palace, lad. I just can't see it.
You know what, lad? They were unlucky, weren't they, last season, just missing out on fourth spot, literally by a point. I think they've recruited well with Jesus and Zinchenko. I know, listen, Palace, I think I was impressed with them under the era last season, but I don't know. I think Arsenal, will do well this season.
I actually like Arteta. I know people have said like he's a Pep sort of reboot or whatever, but I actually do like him. But I just think Arsenal have got just a mentality issue. I don't think who they sign. It's like a culture of they just flatter to deceive at the minute, and I think it'll be the same thing. I think after like 5 game weeks of fancy footy, Jesus will be the most transferred out player. But that's just me going out on a limb now.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's my team now. It had Foden in last week. It had Reece James in last week. It had Kane in last week. Things have changed a lot in the old fancy footy for me. They might change again in the next 24 hours. Who knows? But as it stands, mate, Son, Salah, Haaland, Jesus, Grealish, mate.
It is a heavy front six. I'll give you that. But as you say, mine might change because as soon as my visitors leave from the baby and the baby sleeps, I just smash YouTube looking at people's teams.
Gimp.
I am a gimp, but I'm in.
Yeah, so if you do want to join us, you think you're better than me and George, we're going to be having these type of debates on Patreon as the season goes on with the old fantasy footy. It's £20 entry. It's only available for Patreons, and you've got until 6:30 to get involved. So if you do think you can beat me and George and the 100 others who are joining, then get involved.
Do it.
On last week, maybe we didn't even start the show talking about it. There was a drastic exit from last week's Sportscast. The rivalry, a little one. We spoke a little bit about it on Patreon, but yeah, apologies to anyone who was listening last week and the quick exit, but all worked out well.
We did apologise, to be fair. We did say sorry. We'll be back next week. But yeah, I can't believe it's been a week since that.
Yeah,
I've like aged about 40 years. But yeah, it's all good, mate. The baby's home now. Like, just got family around all the time in that little cocoon period where everyone brings you stuff and that. Nice. So everyone seems to be bringing me snacks, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's like they're like, oh yeah, there's the baby stuff, and we brought these cakes. I'm like, yeah, no problem, thanks for that. But, yeah, still working. Obviously, still doing the podcast. Trying to pretend like the podcast is like pulling me away from duties. I'm like, oh, I'm going out on a limb to do this podcast, but it's like the easiest bit of escapism from changing nappies ever.
And lads, it's got to be done. That's got to be done.
By the way, if anyone's, I'm sorry for the gaudiness here. If anyone's got kids or is going to have kids soon, the first nappy, my God, lad.
It's been a while for me, that lad. Nearly 8 years, lad. So I don't know.
Thinking, like it's like what they've swallowed, Jordan. Like the mate.
Come on.
Honest to God, it's just I wouldn't wish it. I was in a bad way because things happened and my missus were out of action for a minute, and I had to do it. And even the midwives are looking at me like they didn't even offer to help. They were just like, "Nah, you're on your own there, mate. That's grim." But yeah, if anyone's expecting a baby, prepare yourself for that. It's rough.
Nice one for that, lad. Despite all that, though, lad, how excited I am the Prem's back.
Made up. I did need a break, like, I'll be honest, but I'm ready for it to come back now. I'm excited. I even got I know I'm excited because I got excited by Sky Sports' little advert of it's only live once.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. I'm watching every game, but yeah, I'm actually buzzing for it. I was meant to go to the Liverpool game, but like obviously my missus is still a bit not fully mobile.
I was going to go to that game, lad. When you were saying it months ago, I'm going, I don't reckon you'd be going to that.
But like if everything would have went all right, I'd been there. But I mean, I'm going to sit and watch it because Liverpool they are 12, aren't they? So good. But did you see, like, not to jump ahead on headlines and that? Did you see they replaced Jake Humphries on BT Sport?
Have they, why?
There's some woman's doing it. I don't know her name. Let me find her name.
Jake Humphries, though, I'll be honest.
I don't mind him. I actually don't mind him because I think he doesn't really put his opinion across good, which is what I like. I don't think, like, the presenter's there to give his opinion. Do you know what I mean? He's there to present the show. But he's been replaced by a lady called Lindsay Hipgrave. I think she done like the she might have done like the European coverage or something. But yeah, he's gone. He's been ousted.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. I think he just rubs me up the wrong way, lad. It's just, I don't know. Just one of those.
I think he definitely is a divisive character in that sense. Like,
yeah. No, I will. I'm actually going down to Devon this week, so I will be having it on my phone. Watching drive down, which is a bit frustrating, but I'm excited just to see his first game of the season, and I know it doesn't mean a lot in the grand scheme of things, but you obviously want to get off to a good start. And I also think, you think back to the season we won it, we almost had it sewn up the league in December because we were just made a great start. And I think, it's going to be a case of there's been so many signings who bed the players in the quickest. Do you know what I mean? Out of Liverpool, City, even arguably Spurs as well. Chelsea have made loads of signings. Just hoping for a good start. I think.
Yeah, I don't. Go on, sorry. I think we look way fitter than I expected us to be in the Charity Shield, though, or the Community Shield, whatever they call it these days. I think that we looked fitter than City do, which is obviously a good thing for us. But I think maybe we probably underestimated the fact that we didn't make any signings because he put Harvey Elliott on. That Carvalho looks quite sharp as well. So I think it's exciting for Liverpool. We've got a lot of young players to bed in, I think. Obviously, we've all had a bit of banter about Darwin Núñez and stuff, but he couldn't do anything more than score and cause a bit of havoc in that game. I don't know whether he's like technically, in terms of like the way he plays technically, whether he's up to the standard of like Salah and stuff. But he looks like he's he can sniff out a goal, so that's something that you can never turn your nose up at, innit?
No, I think I said last week I don't think he'll score more than 15 in the Prem, but I'm okay with that. I think as long as he can link up well with Diaz, Salah, Bobby, Jota, then I think we're in a super strong position. Really impressed with the new lad Carvalho coming in.
Yeah,
thought he looked good. And again, if Harvey Elliott can kick on, I'm proper optimistic. Before we
Carvalho could look like if he does get exposed to playing, just from what I've seen of him, it's like you can sort of see what's there already. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think he could look like by Christmas he could look like a big signing, someone that we signed for a load of money or something. But maybe that's why Klopp hasn't been so eager to go and get people.
With this being the first kind of the showmate of the Prem, it obviously is going to be Premier League football heavy. What should we start before we go into like the little headlines of this week? What are your predictions? I mean, who do you think's going to win the league?
I think City will win the league.
I think Liverpool.
I just think, I don't know, it's like that. There's a point in the season where they just don't drop any points, and it's not a freak accident anymore. They just arrive at the right time in good form. Do you know what I mean? I think we'll fly out the blocks. I think we'll probably be top by Christmas, but I don't know. I think that's sort of after the World Cup thing where I just think they've got this consistency when the Champions League comes, which is probably to their detriment with the Champions League. I think they might just nick us again by a point or two. But what I think will happen and what I'm praying will happen are two very different things.
Yeah, I think, mate, I don't know. I think Liverpool will do it. And obviously I am biased in that sense. But I just think we were so unlucky last season. People forget, maybe, we lost it by a point. We couldn't have done much else wrong, really. We were near perfect all season. I think the signings that he's brought in with striker Darwin, I think he could be great. He could prove, well, not the perfect replacement for Mane, but I'm more than happy with the kind of like for like swap. I think the young players, Harvey Elliott and hopefully Carvalho, bringing something a little bit different. I'm properly excited. The reason I do think we'll win the league is I think City letting Jesus go, letting Sterling go, and Zinchenko go. I know he was the left back there, but he's captain of Ukraine, some experience there. And also Haaland, they will have to play a slightly different way. And Haaland is injury prone. And I think if those things can go against them, I think Liverpool will be bang there again, ready to take advantage of it. The fact I think Salah's not going to the World Cup, I think is massive. I know Haaland's not either, to be fair, but yeah, I do. I think Liverpool will win the league.
I hope we do, but I think it will, again, I think it will just come down to a point or so. And I think we've got a bigger chance of winning the Champions League than they have.
I actually think we'll win the league by more than a point the win that they did. I'm not saying we'll win it by 10 or 15, but I think there might be, we might have sewn up 2 or 3 games to go. I've just got a feeling, mate.
I think I was quite worried about us having to change the way we play with Núñez, but I think Firmino might play a bigger role than we probably expected this year. I think, I think he genuinely did have injury troubles last year. And, when you hear Klopp talking about him intense, I know we spoke last week about him potentially leaving, but after we recorded, Klopp pretty much said Like, don't be ridiculous. Like, that's just not happening.
He's come out as well and said that he loves it here and stuff. So,
and I think we're such a more. I know he's not as clinical as Jota or maybe Nunes. Time will tell, but I think the cohesion of our team is so much different when he's on form. But the problem with him sometimes is that sometimes when Firmino has a bad game, he has a real bad game. But like when he's on it and he's like in full flow, I don't think there's a better player to suit how we play than him.
So outside the top two, then obviously I'm going Liverpool, you're going City. Who's making up the top four?
I think it'll be Tottenham will be the next best. I really rate Conte. I think I said it a few times last year, and I rate the fact that he said to Spurs like last year, "I'll leave if you don't want to get in bed with what I'm trying to do." I think he's probably now in control. Signing people like Perisic and stuff probably tells you that he is in control of what's going on, not the hierarchy. So I think they'll be strong this year, Tottenham. I don't know whether they'll have the consistency to really challenge, but I think they'll be strong. And I think just by process of elimination, I think Arsenal might sneak into fourth because I think Chelsea will be the big disappointment for the season. And I think Man United are miles away. I think they're probably, you see all this stuff with Ronaldo, which we're probably going to touch on. They might be in a worse position now than he was last year, which is like crazy. So I think Arsenal might be sort of a distant fourth just because Chelsea have disappointed. Like,
yeah, I actually agree. I think I've got Spurs down for third. I think Conte is a great manager. I think bringing Richarlison in, it's going to be massive for them. I think that front three of Son, Kane and Richarlison is going to be great for them. And again, more just because of the manager, though. I think he's brought in there to bridge the gap between the top two. I think they'll do well. And for the reason I said before about Jesus, I think coming in, I think that's what Arsenal needed. Something a bit more clinical. They've had the problems, haven't they, with Aubameyang, bit of kind of upsetting the apple cart a little bit. I think bringing Jesus in, I think will do really well. So I think they'll pip Chelsea. I think for fifth place, it will be Chelsea. They just seem to have brought in loads of mad signings. I listened to a bit on the overlap with Neville and Carragher, and someone said that the new owner's a little bit like he's playing champ manager. It's just like he's buying just loads of players.
Yeah.
New bidding for someone else this morning and read, and it's
Aubameyang.
So
Aubameyang just doesn't make any sense. It's like
it's
like when Everton got that money years ago when they were just like signing random players like Sigurdsson. Like I know Sigurdsson played out differently, but they just threw money at loads of people, and it's like go on then go and perform. And back in the day when they first got rich, that could work, but it's so much more of a team game now. Like individuals don't win you nothing.
So I think, listen, Chelsea could surprise me. I think Koulibaly will do well for them, but I think no, main striker in the sense that I just don't think. Yeah, so I'm going to go, Liverpool, City, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, and I agree what you're saying about United. I think they could be 7th, 8th, 9th. I think, the whole Ronaldo thing, which, like you said, we'll touch on, just seems like a real bad situation. So, yeah, that's me kind of top 5, if you like.
Yeah, we actually had a question on our Patreon where we let people get involved with dictating the Sportcast a little bit. So we could probably tie all them in here, I reckon.
Yeah.
Done the Premier League win, and then we obviously got 3 to go down. Oof. I think Bournemouth are gone by Christmas. And I think it's tough. I don't want to be proper like negative towards some teams, but I just don't know how. I don't know how Fulham don't go down.
No.
Like I think Fulham, Bournemouth, and you know who else I think will go down after having a good year? Brentford. I think they'll have a second season syndrome.
I mean, he finished 13th last season.
I know, but I think
away
I think they'll have it. I think they'll have second season syndrome.
So who are you going for? Fulham, Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think Bournemouth will be bottom on like 14 points. Fulham like on like 15. And then I think they'll be a bit of a scrap, but I think Brentford will go.
So I'm going to go for Bournemouth as well. I actually agree with you with them. I think they've just done well to come up, but I think every time they've been in the league, they just don't look like staying, do they?
No, they had a few good years with Eddie Howe, but then they got like this, like they went away from So I think they tried to go like one better, didn't they? Really, they sacked him and thought they'd get someone bigger in, and it sort of fell on its arse. I think.
Yeah.
But I think I think they will struggle because just as Scott Parker said, that who I actually think is a good manager, but if you don't strengthen, then it's such a jump in quality. If you're going into that with like a championship squad, that's Norwich, you know what I mean? You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, so no, I think Bournemouth will be going straight back down. The reason I'm kind of leaning towards the three that came up going back down is when you look at the Prem now, teams that didn't go down were Leeds, Everton, Southampton, Villa, Brentford. I can't see any of them getting, sucked right into the relegation. So I think there's a real good chance that the three come up, the three that go back down. If I was going to bring any team into that mix that could potentially go down, people will laugh. I'm going to say this, but I honestly think Everton are fucked,
No, I don't know. Like, there's positivity coming out today. Onana, Broja, Agana Gay back.
Again, and this is not me just trying to hammer Everton, but I think
it is.
It's genuinely not, mate. How long have they had, right, to bring in a striker before DCL got injured? Right, they've had weeks, months to bring in a new striker. They haven't. The Prem starts tomorrow, and they've not got anyone signed. DCL is injured, and they're looking to start the first game with Dele Alli up front. So that means not only is the pressure now to get these signings done to get a striker in, there's now pressure on them to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And so much pressure. There's so many variables. I know you could argue that point with every team, but they're bringing in a lot of players. Are they all going to work? Are they all going to? I think it's worrying times. If they finish above 15th, I will say, listen, fair play. You have smashed it. Well done. I think they'll be finishing 16th, 17th, all going down.
Yeah. I disagree. I think they'll have I think Everton will be about 12th, somewhere there. I think they'll have a good season. I think not a good season by winning things, but I think they might have a good go at like a Carabao Cup and then maybe finish halfway up. Because I just think last year, you're right, but in terms of the striker thing, that's just terrible management and there's no excuse for that. But I think if you look at their pre-season, Patterson, who was coming as a big signing from Rangers and he was like well touted, I think he's played every minute in pre-season, so they've definitely improved. Although Seamus Coleman's been a great player, they've got a youngster at fullback who's got a bit of potential. They got Michalenko at left back who showed he's got a bit of potential. I think Tarkowski's a good signing based on what they had. I think Tarkowski's a better defender than anything that Everton had. And I think if they do get that Onana over the line, although they might have a tricky start, I think once it settles down, if they've got a midfield too of Onana and Ghana Gay, who's just spent a couple of years at PSG, that's much better than what they had last year.
There's no great squad depth, though, is there?
No, and that's the problem. But I think if they can start with them two, and then you've got the likes of Gordon, Dele Alli, Dwight McNeil, and then if you do sign someone like Brozier, who's got a bit of Premier League experience, I don't think it's ever going to push them to like Europe. But I think Everton fans need to forget about we might sneak into Europe like they do every season when they start. Okay, yeah. Just take natural steps. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot worse teams than them if they get it right. But again, it's on a knife edge, isn't it? If they do go into the season and Ghana Gate doesn't sign, Onana decides he wants to go to West Ham, and then Brozier goes somewhere else on loan, then you're in shit street, aren't you? But I think if them signings go the way, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. So my final one, I just think the three that have come up are going straight back down. If they don't, I think it'll be Forest who are the surprise package.
I do.
Everton will maybe might drop in, but at the minute, I just think.
I struggle. I actually like Forest as manager, but I think if he is the only worry I have for them is like the overload of signings, like we said with Chelsea. Like it's just a load of players being brought in. You know what I mean?
Sometimes work well though, can't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you've not got really much. You got Lingard, who's obviously got experience and stuff, but then you're getting rid of your best right back who was Spence, and then you're bringing in Nico Williams. You're going to need him to be brilliant from the word go. Yeah, you know what I mean, I know they signed that guy whose name I can't pronounce. Who we sold is a Taiwo Anwini. He couldn't get a work permit with us,
Oh,
We
yeah,
saw
yeah.
in Berlin, and I think he scored like 20 goals in the Bundesliga or something.
Yeah.
So if he can translate, then that's good. But I think, again, a bit like what we said with Everton, it's a bit of a knife edge because it can either go really well or really bad.
Yeah. No, I just think with Everton, with the squad's depth, it's like not even injuries, but if things aren't going well and he needs to mix it up for whatever reason, he hasn't really got many options, has he? So it's kind of like you're just hoping that that first 11 you've just named are like the best first 11 all season. And it's like, as you know, it's difficult to have, you know, them all in the right form, no injuries all season. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, but mate, I'm just fucking glad it's back.
Tough start for Everton, like with Chelsea, to be fair. But I mean, it looks tough on paper, but as you said, if Chelsea don't sort of come up trumps, you know, they could like get a result at least. But yeah, that's as you said. I'm just made up it's back. Made up we can spend half an hour talking about it again.
I know. So to go through just a few of the headlines as well on the Prem, like I said, the Ronaldo situation. So I don't know if you see in the last friendly that they had, he obviously played, 20 minutes or so, and then just bailed before the full-time whistle.
Yeah.
He was just getting off. I mean, I'm not asked if you're Ronaldo, you're Messi, you're Neymar. I mean, that's fucking disrespectful, that, isn't it?
He's just, like I said the other week, like, he's now doing things that he was doing when he was, like, head and shoulders the best player in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think his ego is just out of control. It's like, he still wants to be treated in the way that, like, the world revolves around Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? And like, as you said before, he deserves respect, but the game has moved on. You have to have, like, any successful team over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years has all been about cohesion. It's not been about an amazing player, just give it to him. Even the likes of Messi, when Barcelona were at the pomp, it was because of the cohesion of the team. Yes, he was the standout player, but you look further back behind him, you had Suarez, Neymar, Iniesta, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's not just this one.
I think though this whole idea where he's going to go now, I think he's shooting himself in the foot. I mean, if people see him acting like that, I wouldn't want to take a punt on him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what his thinking is behind it, but
he'll end up in the MLS.
It leaves Ten Hag in a real awkward situation, I'll be honest. Seeing this week as well, mate, the whole kick out thing that they're kneeling before games. They're going to not do that every game, just do that on certain games now. So I think they will be doing it the first game of the season. I think maybe like cup finals or like the last, I don't know, random games. And I actually agree with it, mate, because it just becomes like, it gets forgotten about, really, doesn't it? The reason why we're doing it.
Yeah, it's a diluted stance in the end, isn't it? But I think the one thing that they can't do, though, is just because, like, which is probably what I think will happen, because everyone stops taking the knee, then the idea of, like, behind it, sort of like equality and stuff, it just gets sort of thrown to the back of the bus again, you know what I mean? It's like, well, we'll deal with that when something else tragic happens. Do you know what I mean? But as long as they, like, continuously...
It is interesting, mate, as well, though, because you've got, obviously, taking the knee is down to, the Black Lives Matter, but you've got, Everton's new new midfielder, Gay, he famously refused to play because he had to wear rainbow laces. So it's the whole kind of equality, but when it suits.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Like, yeah, okay, we're going to take a knee for Black Lives Matter and we're going to wear rainbow laces, but actually, I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to do this because you don't, and it's... It is
I don't know if you've seen in Australia, but some players in the NRL, which is like the big rugby league tournament over there, they literally refused to play because of like they were trying to make some action towards LGBT, and because of their beliefs and whatever, they were like, we're not playing, like we're literally not playing. They sort of took that stance, but I think it'll always divide people. But I think you have to be careful between diluting your stance of this is why we're doing it and actively doing stuff to change it. I think a lot of what sport does, which is half the reason I said the golfers shouldn't be the ones that have to make, human rights decisions. I think football as a business just doesn't want to really deal with it. Do you know what I mean? There's like, we'll just sort of things when it pops up, but other than that, just let it crack on.
But when you've got personalities who are affected by it, it's harder, isn't it, to say, oh, you should or you shouldn't do this. Do you know what I mean? So, one fella who come out, and I did feel a bit sorry for him this week. He's definitely not kind of realised what he said. I don't know whether but anyway, Henderson, who's just signed for Forest, come out and said it was the worst year of his life being at United. It was so frustrating, and it was all, he felt like a caged animal. And it was just a little bit like, you can take it in a sport of merit and think, yeah, it must have been frustrating for you. But getting paid $100,000 a week during COVID, you know, it's fucking not the worst year of your life. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, I know you can say money's not everything and mental health's important and all that, but I think to come out publicly, it's all right saying it to your mates and go, fucking hell, lad, this is shit, this, that, I get that. But to come out and, you know, publicly say I've had the worst year of my life.
Yeah.
And it's all because you're not being able to play football. Fucking hell, mate, read the room a little bit, you know what I mean?
I think what it is, though, is like, obviously, when you get interviewed, you can say, oh, yeah, it's been the worst year of my life, but you don't mean it, like, quite literally. Do you know what I mean? It's like a figure of speech of, like, oh, yeah, it's been really... Like, if he would have said, it's been a really difficult year, it wouldn't have, like, mattered. But when you think about speech and sort of dialect, that's all he does mean, innit? But, like, because he said it, and it's just like, rah! Like, you can't say that, but... I mean, if you look at it in a sporting sense, the fact that they told him, yeah, you're coming back to be number one, reject all these loans, don't go to these clubs, don't go to them clubs, and then 12 months, it's bad, like.
It's been shit for him, 100%, but I mean, I fucking hated lockdown, mate. If you told me you would have been United's number 2, getting paid £100,000 a week, I much would have done that than last year. Yeah, so again, Bobby, which mentioned before, Bobby said, you know, he wants to stay at Liverpool, which is good. Newcastle have come in for another bid with Maddison. I think they've took it up to 40 mil now.
Mad,
Leicester haven't signed anyone, have they?
No, and they just sold Kasper Schmeichel for £1 million.
And if they let Maddison go, well, don't think he will go, but I think if he did, it'd be a great signing for Newcastle. That.
Yeah, I don't know, it's mad, isn't it? Like, for him, it doesn't... For me, playing for Newcastle and playing for Leicester's much of the same, innit? Like,
nah, come on, lad.
I don't think Leicester are that far ahead of Newcastle.
Have you just forgot the news about their new owners, have you? That just completely slipped your mind, has it?
Oh, what, the money? Yeah, but...
Newcastle will be in the Champions League in the next 5 years.
No way. No way, lad.
5 years, lad, they'll be in the Champions League.
I'll bet you on that.
Okay.
You didn't pay your last bet, but I'll bet you on that again.
This season, and 4 more to go, they'll be in the Champions League.
No way. What'll happen is the money will come in, it won't quite work, they'll get out, someone else will come in and they'll promise loads of stuff again. It's not happening, lad. Newcastle, and it's just not happening. They'll become a steady Prem team, which is what they are and what they always should be because they're a massive club, but they will not be challenging for Champions Leagues and stuff. It won't happen.
Okay.
You've got to get players there, lad. You've got to get players.
What they're trying to do with Maddison?
He's not going to get you in the Champions League. He proved that with Leicester.
He's going to improve, lad. He won the league with them.
Yeah, I know, but come on, don't even. You know exactly what that was. It was an absolute freak of nature that will never happen again.
Well, Newcastle are going to try and do it again, lad. So, and
you need more than James Maddison to break the top 4 in the Premier League.
Of course, lad. Yeah, but you know what? They got Kieran Trippier now as well. He's won La Liga, lad. Go on. Next.
He's about 39.
Next.
Yeah, he'll score a free kick against Nottingham Forest and everyone says he's the best thing since David Beckham. Then he'll do his, like, you don't know, he'll have a calf injury for 9 months. Like, Kieran Trippier's there for one reason only. To lash a free kicks in and go, I'm getting paid $100,000 more than I was when I was at Tottenham in my pomp.
Think you're giving him a bad rap there, lad.
No, he's done. Finito, finished, average, garbage.
The last 2 things on the old foosball, mate, was an unfortunate sponsor that I forget what team it is now.
Southend.
Southend, is it? So I think there's a company called something Rose. The company is called that, which effectively has meant that it's called the Rose West Stand.
So far reading the room.
Southend have said they're not changing it. I mean, do you know what I mean? It's like...
Oh, that's great, that. You shouldn't laugh, but you should laugh as well because it is funny.
That's mad, isn't it? You're seeing that. And the other thing which made me laugh, mate, was I'm actually looking forward to see it. It comes out today. Actually come out last night, Thursday. The new Arsenal documentary, the kind of this behind the scenes thing, and the one that the little snippets was Arteta playing "You'll Never Walk Alone" while Arsenal were in training to replicate the kind of atmosphere. But then goes and gets beat 4-0.
Yeah. Do you know what was mad about that? Like, I know we have a great atmosphere, right? Undoubted. And all the people who go, Anfield's a myth, that they're just chatting balls because it does have a great atmosphere. But our atmosphere is good selectively, isn't it? Like, let we all be like the big games. It's amazing, isn't it? But there's plenty of games at Anfield where it's a bit dead. And I think a proper standard Arsenal versus Liverpool game, I wouldn't imagine the atmosphere to be that good, where you've got to like do extra.
It was decent that season. I think even the season we won it, if I remember rightly, we were getting beat 1-0 within like the first 5 minutes, lads, and it just kicked on.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. We know when to turn it on, but for example, when you just turn up to 3 o'clock at Anfield, there is times when it can be really, really like just a normal football game.
Yeah, lad, if you're playing Brighton at 12 on a Saturday, it's shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But
I just don't think it would ever, if it was like a Champions League semi-final and it was Arsenal versus Liverpool, then yeah, the atmosphere would be great. But I think just for a standard Premier League game, it would have been a decent atmosphere, but nothing you need to do like extra preparation for.
I just think it shows the respect he's got for Klopp and the club. One thing as well, though, and listen, no doubt be Liverpool fans who will disagree with me on this. Another clip I've seen was they had the photographer who's been at the club for 30 years. He allowed him to do a little motivational talk before the game, before the Spurs game, the derby. Listen, as much as I would love to see those two women in the canteen giving a little pep talk before the Everton game, do you know what I mean? And say, I've worked for this club for, I like the myth of like, fuck knows what Klopp says to them. God knows what goes on inside that inner sanctum of the dressing room. I just want to be there and just watch the magic happen. As great as it would be to kind of see the inner workings, I'm not after seeing the canteen ladies give a talk to Hendo before the Merseyside derby. Leave that to one side, and I don't want to know what's going on. So this idea of seeing the workings of Arsenal and stuff, it's great because it's not Liverpool. I just wouldn't want it to happen to my club.
I would like that. I'd like to see an all or nothing with us, like, because you just get a deeper appreciation for it, I reckon.
Ruins the magic.
No, lad.
It's like it's a magician, lad. It's a magic trick. You see something get done and you're like, oh my God, how's he done that? And then if he tells you, it's like, fucking, I can do that.
I know, but you can also get an understanding of like why certain things happen, or you could get an understanding of just why. Because as you say, no one really knows why all the Liverpool players love Jurgen Klopp. We all say, because he gets the City and because he is the way he is as a person and like politically and all that stuff. But like, it would be great to see him like in what he do and what he does. Do you know what I mean?
It would be, lad, but it'd ruin it for me.
No. Do you know what I was going to do? Pep Lijnders just released a book, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be Liverpool's next manager. Him.
Intensity, yeah. Look, I'll have to get that.
Yeah, I might try and read that because he's a character who I want to know more about. Like, everyone speaks like about him as this like superstar coach, don't they? And I mean, in order for Klopp to give you as much responsibility as he gives to him, you must be pretty special, like.
Yeah. No, his book came out this week.
I'm going to get that, definitely.
I think that's it on 40, mate. Anything else?
42 minutes, I think we just done.
I mean, it is the start of the Prem season, though.
We're back. We are back. To be fair, 10 minutes of that was Fantasy Football League, and in the 42 minutes we've been recording, in the back of my head, all I can think about is transfers.
So if you do want to get involved in the kind of footy Premier League fantasy chat, again, it's on Patreon. It's £1 a week, and in doing so, you then get the chance to pay your £20 into the league. We'll be having these chats all throughout the season. On Patreon as well, there's a comment section where you can get involved and ask us questions and do all that. So again, it's good to get involved. One little mad story from the F1 this week. Did you see Alpine? They come out and said, we've signed Oscar. Is it
Piastri?
Piastri.
Or whatever. I think there's about 18 ways of saying his name, but you'll never get it right.
Yeah, Piastri, I thought it was. But anyway, yeah. They come out and proper press release and all that said, yeah, we're signing him. And then about 2 hours later, he come out with a tweet and was like, nah, I'm not.
Mad that.
Bit mad.
He's had a little late bid, hasn't he? Because he's been rumoured to be signing for I think there's McLaren. I think there's another team as well interested in him because he's a bit of a hot property, isn't he? But yeah, I mean, to announce it, to be proper, like, I'm sure to announce something these days, you've got to at least sign, like, some sort of legal form, haven't you?
But I think it's been a bit of a game of bluffing, and they've like tried to call it. Do you know what I mean? And they've tried to thinking, oh shit, everyone thinks he has now. We've got to. And he just went fuck off.
Yeah. The F1's been proper interesting. I mean, I know, you know, the thing with Charles Leclerc and all that rolling on, but there was mad stuff like, you know, Alonso decided to jump from Alpine to Aston Martin just like proper within a day. Like, I see Hamilton's now like joining to become the ownership of like
Denver Broncos
NFL team, and then Michael Massey was saying he got bloody death threats after that Abu Dhabi from Max and Lewis. Like, it's proper. What? No, because of what happened between Max and Lewis.
Yeah.
He got crazy.
Max and Lewis were sending him death threats then.
Lewis messaging him, saying watch your back, mate. But I think it's just a couple of crazy like articles that I read this week, but all good for F1 though. Keeps us going, keeps us interested, doesn't it?
Well, it's obviously there's a break now, isn't it? So they call it silly season, where obviously all the new kind of drivers get announced then for the next season and stuff like that, and contracts get renewed and stuff. So yeah. Just thought that was a bit interesting.
Mercedes will win a race in the second half of the year as well.
It looks like we will now, doesn't it? With them getting a bit closer, but yeah,
they're getting closer.
Max's title, lad.
Yeah, it is Max's title. But do you know what? Like, I know I give him stick. He's a fantastic driver. Don't get me wrong, but there's been points in the season where he could have lost his title. Like Charles Leclerc could be, you know, very close, if not ahead in this title race. Like, but it's fine margins in it in that game. Like literally, it's a case of millisecond decisions, and it just seems like Max makes better millisecond decisions than anyone else.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a game like we say a few times. It is the milliseconds which either mean you're a hero or you fucked it for your whole team.
Well, you're in the tyres, mate, trying to climb out of a little car. I'd love to have a go with you. I know I'm not fit enough, good enough, or, you know, even, I don't know what you'd have to be, but I'd love to just have one lap in an F1 car, lad.
Fucking scary, lad.
Apparently, like, you've got to be crazily fit, haven't you?
Yeah. You lose litres of water, like body weight and stuff.
Yeah, because Lewis was broken in, I think it was 2 races ago, his water supply broke, didn't he?
Did it?
He managed to get through the old race, but I think you can, like, snap your neck and stuff if you're not strong enough.
Yeah, the G-force is crazy, yeah.
But I would love to just rack one. Getting in one of them must be one of the most surreal moments. Feeling like
I'd be happy to get out of one, to be honest, lad.
Yeah, like, giving it one of them like Suarez.
Just know that you got out of it all right, like.
Yeah.
Obviously, mate, fucking every week. We're not even talking about golf, we're just talking about the fucking craziness around it. But there's now 11 LIV players who are now suing the PGA.
Yeah.
So they filed for an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA to challenge the suspensions.
Trying to harm the careers.
Basically, yeah.
Not harming the bank balance, though.
It's all a bit. I've looked into it, mate, and it's just, yeah, they're arguing, saying the PGA is trying to hurt their careers, various bits and bobs. And like we said last week about the numbers that are getting spoken about, as in the kind of the fees that they're going to be getting paid, whether they come dead last or not. Like you say, it's not harming anything really. I don't think.
I think this is like a. I think if you sat with all 11 players making the lawsuits, I don't think they would really know or understand exactly what I think it's more of like an executive decision. Do you know what I mean? In like the game of chess that is PGA versus LIV. I think that's what it is, 100%.
You've now got the PGA players who are saying that, you know, they could boycott certain tournaments if the LIV players are allowed back in. It's just like being on strike, honestly, mate. It's just this. It's. I know on one argument you could say it's good for golfers to keep it in the headlines, but the reason it's in the headlines because everyone's just a money grabbing cunt.
Yeah, literally, no one's talking about like the smaller tournaments in the Bahamas, are they? No. But Tiger got off at 800 mil.
Seeing that, lad.
Crazy though. You know what though? I know Tiger's got a lot of money, but just dropping 800 into Tiger's bank balance is just recipe for disaster, isn't he? He'd be on the end of all benders, mate.
He's at a point though where he doesn't need the money. He's got his legacy, hasn't he? And I think he could ruin that legacy by jumping that shit.
800 mil, you know.
Still, lad, he's worth a lot, lad.
Not worth that. That would make him a billionaire.
He's getting taxed on half it though straight away, isn't he? So
yeah, but it's not just you know, you get taxed on half it, yeah, but then it's everything that comes with it, isn't it?
I wouldn't. If I was Tiger, I wouldn't do it.
I would. I'd do it if I was any golfer. off. I mean, why would you get left behind? What is the reason for getting left behind by everyone else? Everyone else is taking it.
No, I'm saying if I was one of the younger lads coming through, I probably would take the money. But I'm saying if I was Tiger and I was already one of the greatest ever, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but if Tiger has any ambition to keep playing, who's he playing against?
Shit players you could probably win against for once.
Exactly, but it's just like, I think if he went, right, I'm going to live and I'm gonna, like the way he did a couple of years ago, he's like, I'm back, I'm gonna win another major, and he did. If he went over there and went, right, I've got my game back, I'm here to live to win one of these little games, to just tick this off my box as well. You tried to make a new sport, a new governing body, and even though I'm 115 years old, I came and I won one.
No,
Got to go, man. 800 mils.
Mate, off golfing onto the Commonwealth Games. Mate, the two big things I've seen, I'll be honest, I've not watched loads of it, but I did see.
In and out, like.
Yeah, I did see Katrina Johnson-Thompson won the heptathlon gold, which was nice to see. And PT wins the Adam PT wins the 50 meters.
He's a monster.
Did
you see his stance about politics and stuff?
No.
In his post, he was like, it was a great interview, to be fair. Just talking about like people, the government, and like calling them out pretty directly about the fact that, you know, everywhere you go, swimming centres are closed down. There's no sort of push to get anyone involved. There's no push for the next generation. And then he was just talking about the fact that, you know, he's achieving all this stuff, but if he has a bad day, if he goes down the pool and does that exercise, that, you know, it can really clear his mind, and just the fact that he's an elite athlete doesn't change that. And then people at the bottom of this imaginary ladder that we have in politics, that people haven't got that opportunity because everywhere you go, you're shutting the swimming centres down. And to be honest, I think he's an incredible athlete. Like, he's one of the people you watch where you just think you are a monster. Yeah. But just a bit like what we said with Paddy, well, we didn't get to say with Paddy the other week. It's like, you know, it's great someone to use the platform and not come up with like a political message of like, you know, a bit, you know, like F the Tories or whatever. But if someone actually comes in with like educated, like well thought out points that people have to answer to, I just think it's proper powerful.
Well, it's the same way, obviously, after the amazing success of the women's football team winning the Euros, which was unbelievable, by the way. We spoke about it a bit on the Patreon. But yeah, it's just an amazing thing. I was down there watching it. I was emotional watching it. Amazing. Then you see the next day they're putting out a letter to the next leader of the country saying, look, you know, we need to get girls involved more in PE. I think there's less than 50% of girls get the chance to still play football in PE. So it's mad. So yeah, totally agree with you on the sense of using your platform to giving a bit of an educated kind of look. Things need to change. It's brilliant to see.
Yeah, but just like I know the Commonwealth Games is like the Olympics' little cousin, isn't it? But I just think, mate, you know, like we see elite athletes in, you know, we love sport, we watch them in boxing, footy or whatever, but I just think some of them in like the obscure sports, like diving and stuff, you just think you are just beasts, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Complete, like, to zone in on something like that and to be so good at it, it's just, I don't know, I love
on a sport where no one's really that into it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so cool. Like the Olympics for me, as I said, is the greatest sporting event that you can watch. But these like Commonwealth Games, man, I love it, lad. I really love it.
Now onto the things that you do love as well. The boxing and UFC. I've seen this week a farcical kind of circus that seems to follow him around. Is it Jake Paul or which one is he? I don't know.
Yeah, Jake.
His fight with Rackman Jr. has been pulled.
Yeah.
Down to what I saw about weight loss and doing it.
He didn't agree to hit certain catch weights, and you have to be a certain weight, a certain amount of weeks out, and all that stuff. But you know, all the rumours now.
15 pounds in a week it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. But then we've seen both Dana White and Eddie Hearn had said that, you know, there was no ticket sold. I think it's $500,000 to turn the lights on in MSG. Like, and you know, they weren't generating that sort of level of interest in terms of tickets or projected pay-per-view sales and stuff. So yeah, I think, you know, it's easy to come up with excuses as obscure as that. But maybe, you know, the pull that Jake Paul thought he had, you know, to try and go and have a fight in the mecca of boxing. It's
you know, when it's
not practical.
You know, when this first came out, it's the whole YouTube boxing. I think that whole kind of YouTube younger community were like, yeah, watch, we can show like that, you know, YouTube is a thing and, you know, we're his big supporters and this and that. He's come out and he's had a few fights, and I just think that kind of initial drive to, yes, let's see one of our own YouTubers do. I've watched since I was 9 in my bedroom, you know, let's see him do it. It's just kind of went away, and it's just not there. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's a big thing anymore.
Yeah, I know it's yeah, I totally agree. It's like I think the novelty of it has definitely worn off. Do you know what I mean? I think if he was to do, you know, I know he's done a lot of stuff in his hometown and all this stuff. I just think, yeah, it's a case of like whether he's sort of set the ceiling too high, and then, you know, he thinks any fight that he's involved in is going to sell out, and, you know, going to sell all these big stadiums and arenas and stuff like that. And I think he's now just in a dangerous position, because I think he's now announced he's fighting a boxer. He can't now go back and go, all right, I'm fighting someone else. He's just going to have to keep moving on to boxers. And then I don't think the Jake Paul against the boxer sells in the same way Jake Paul versus another YouTuber does, because I know there was this big boom about, oh, you know, he's bringing a new audience to it, and like all these YouTubers now going to be into boxing. I don't think they are. They're into Jake Paul. Like, none of these kids are now going, oh my God, Dalton Smith's fighting this weekend in the Sheffield Arena in like the first headliner of his career. I'm going to watch that. You know what I mean? It's not the case, and I think there'll be loads of YouTube like followers and stuff. They'll be like, who the hell's Hassan Rahman Jr.? And you go, oh, his dad fought Lennox Lewis, and they're like, don't care. Why is he not fighting KSI or something?
He's benefited from, I think, boxing fans maybe having a little look into YouTube and seeing a bit more about him than boxing as YouTubers looking at boxing.
Yeah.
Is there any actual real boxing going on then worth talking about?
Yeah. Sorry, mate. Something just coming through on my laptop. I have just stopped a phone call. Talk about milliseconds. That was impressive. You know, does any of your phone calls come through to your Mac?
Yeah.
You know, popped in and just hit the decline rapido. But yeah, we've got. So obviously we should have had Jake Paul, but we've, as I just mentioned there, we've actually got Dalton Smith this weekend. He is fighting Sam O'Mason in like the biggest sort of. It's not the biggest fight of his career because it's not a huge fight in terms of name and stuff, but it's for the British title, and it's you know, it's sort of the next step up for him. And he's headlining in his home city, 11-0 against Sam O'Mason, who's 17-3-1. You know, and I think it's just an opportunity. I think I've spoke about Dalton Smith a few times, and some people actually say that, you know, he's a bit of hype and that they don't really see it. But I think he's someone from Britain that could really go on and challenge at world level. Not yet, but I think eventually. So I think I'll be really interested to watch that. You know, it's good to see sort of, you know, the zone actually being in the UK, because it's been a little bit disastrous for Eddie in the last couple of months. Like, so, you know, that's a good fight. And then they got big Johnny Fisher on the undercard. Mate, he's from London, right? He's fighting in Sheffield. He sold 1,000 tickets. 1,000. Like, when you talk about fighters having to survive on selling tickets and stuff.
What does that hold? Like where he's fighting?
Oh, it'll only be like 8. It's like the Echo Arena. 8. Or the M&S Bank Arena, what's called nowadays.
Oh, more than 10%. That's great, that.
Man, and he's I tell you how many fights he had, like 7 fights or something. 5-0 he is. Oh. But he's him. His dad's become a little bit of a sort of personality in boxing and stuff. And Eddie just got this mad following of, like, you know, and obviously Eddie's loving it. But you know, although it's not a massive card this weekend, it's you know, it's interesting enough. It'll be something that we can definitely delve into on the boxing show, on the betting show. But also you got Michael Conlan returning as well over back in Ireland after he got knocked out by Lee Wood in like the best fight anyone's ever seen in Britain for years, back in early in the year. So it'll be good to see him back. But yeah, it'll be sort of something we can really delve into in the betting show. But yeah, it's exciting times for boxing. Obviously we've got August is naturally a little bit slower, but we've got Joshua Usyk coming up, which we'll, you know, really talk about in the next few weeks. And then obviously the schedule again after that. But just seeing Liam's got announced in his first fight under boxer at the M&S Bank Arena with a couple of good fights on the undercard. So yeah, August slightly quieter apart from Joshua Usyk, but then hopefully once September hits, there'll be more British shows, because I think although Eddie's thing to the zone's been good for him, it's really impacted British boxing a little bit. He hasn't had as many big fights and big nights over here. So hopefully we can get a few more in the back end of the year.
And UFC, obviously Paddy's probably weighs about 27 stone by now.
Great, isn't he?
Hopefully he can get out again at the end of the year. I mean, how's the ground lying in the general UFC for this
Yeah,
weekend?
well, there's an MSG card on November the 18th, I think, or somewhere around then, which is Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. So I thought Paddy might go in there, but he mentioned Vegas, didn't he, in his post-fight? So I think that's usually like December time. So maybe he get out again, you know what I mean? I know he's got commitments now in the US, hasn't he, due to his affiliation with Barstool. So I know he'll be over there for a long sort of period of time. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of fighters now, like serious fighters who are sort of putting the name in the hat. So the next fight is going to be seriously, it's going to be interesting to see who they're matching up with, because Drew Dober, a lightweight who sort of flirted in and around the top 15 for a while, but being in the UFC for God knows how long, he got another knockout this weekend. He's an up and down fighter. He can get beat or he can knock someone out. But he tied himself like the most knockouts in UFC lightweight history, I think. And the first thing he said after it was, I want to collide with Paddy, like. Really, so yeah. Matching with him, because obviously everyone's big thing with Paddy is we want to see him get hit to see. So if you then put him in against someone who's got the most knockouts, it's for fans to go, well, we're going to see, and then for Paddy to sort of make a little bit of a statement and stuff. Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting fight that I'd like to see get made. I don't think it'll get made just yet, but it'll definitely be interesting to see it get made. But there's a fighter who's fighting this weekend called Terence Mckinney, who I think he could be another. He holds the record for the fastest UFC knockout. I think he beat Masvidal by like a second or something. But he's another one that you'd like to see Paddy go in with. So if he does come back, it'll be really interesting. But Molly got ranked as well, didn't she? So she's 15 now. So she's 15 in the world. So for Molly now, it's just a case of climbing them rankings. I think I don't know if you've seen her social media numbers and stuff, but it's getting crazy, mate. Like,
what, her following's going up crazy.
I think, if she can rack a couple of other wins together, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up with a title shot. Honestly, I wouldn't. And no one would have predicted that a couple of years ago. Like,
no.
She's just got to build on this momentum. But I do think that phone could ring, like, and if it does, and it'll be an amazing story for obviously for Molly's career to even challenge for the UFC title. But mate, there was one funny thing this week. Did you see? They've matched up Nate Diaz with Khamzat Chimaev, which is like it's awful. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, but the Dana had a press conference and he asked him about Nate Diaz, and he was like, "Listen, I love Nate Diaz. He's done loads to this company. I've given him as much money as I can. I love him. He's like someone I really care about." He said, but it's quite difficult to deal with him. And the press conference, like the guys in the media were like, "Why?" He was like, "I had a meeting with him last week about opponents, and he come in and said he wants to fight Francis Ngannou." He's like, "This is what I've got to deal with." He's coming in saying, "Oh, well, one fight left on my UFC contract. I don't want to renew it. Match me with Ngannou." Just an absolute nut job.
What have we got on this weekend? Is there any UFC?
Yeah, there's a good card actually. Bit of, as I say this quite a lot, but it's definitely one I'm going to be all over in the betting show. Thiago Santos versus Jamahal Hill's the top. Hill's someone I think couldn't really challenge for the title in a couple of fights, but Thiago Santos is someone that at light heavyweight, if you've got any title aspirations, you've got to get past him first. But I think that's a great fight, and I can't wait to break that one down on the betting show. Like, but you've got the winners of Dana White's Contender Series on here as well. Muhammad Usman, who's Kamaru Usman's brother, he's a heavyweight. He's fighting on the card.
And he's got a brother, has he?
Yeah, a heavyweight brother, and now he's fighting on this card to try and get in the UFC. So that's a bit of a that's one that to really keep an eye on. But you've also got, like as I said, Terence McKinney's on there. I think it's a really good card. I think it's one of them cards where if you wake up on Sunday morning and you're okay with ruining the results for yourself, if you look on Google on the UFC schedule, you might see KO, 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 KO. Do you know what I mean? I think it's one of them cards that could be a bit of a sleeper, but one I'm buzzing for the betting show. Like,
happy days, lad. That is just over an hour, kid.
What a show!
Concerns you obviously daddy duties to do that you already had, but now add another one in.
Seems very quiet downstairs in ours. That either means me missus has got visitors and they've all got older baby,
or it's kicked off and my missus ran.
Yeah, just made a run for it.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this, lad. Nice one, everyone, for listening again. The support means a lot. Get over on Patreon and come and join in with the fantasy footy. And yeah.
And before we go, sorry, we just got to do 5 more minutes. We had some questions off Patreon, and we need to get at least a couple of them in because that's what people do on Patreon. They get involved with the show. So let me just ask you a couple of questions just before we go. Right. This one's good because I reckon you'll have thought about this. Ryan from Patreon said, have you ever watched a random sport and genuinely thought you'd have a chance in it? Curling for me. With enough practice, I'm going pro. Half the team brush ice.
Yeah. I think I've said on Patreon before when someone's asked, what's a really random, talent that you've got? Mine's reflexes. Doesn't mean fuck all in like normal life, but like, if I dropped a cup or something, I'm like constantly fucking nothing smashes in my house, lad. I've got good reflexes. So it'd have to be something like, if they made a sport where they had all those like lights and you'd have to like tap them, when they lit, something like that, lad. I'd be all right at something like that.
And I watch cricket, right, and I think I could do it.
Cricket?
Yeah. No. Like, because some of them, the spin bowlers and that, they probably get me out. But you see, when they throw it down, lad, as long as I can get a gauge of how fast it is, I reckon I could run down and just six it out of the gaff.
I can tell you now, George, you wouldn't be able to.
I would, lad.
Do I've just actually thought...
At worst, I'd be an unbelievable fielder.
You like that because you could just stand there and do fuck all?
Yeah, but how hard can it be if someone rockets one but doesn't quite get it, and all you got to do is watch? And you go, poof, and he's out. How hard can that be? Yeah. A ball coming down from the sky is a ball coming down from the sky. It doesn't matter who hit it.
I want to record you next time I see you in person. I'll just throw a tennis ball up in the air and make you catch it.
That can be one of the SPORTCAST challenges.
For those who asked as well, we have got a date for the SPORTCAST. It's getting recorded, a SPORTCAST series, I should say, where me and Joe are going to compete in different sports. So that'll be coming on Patreon the end of the month, starting next month. Yeah. I also, sorry on that, I think bowling. I'd love to try bowling, but you've got to be kind of old to play it, haven't you?
Yeah, you have.
I wouldn't mind having a go with that. I think I'd be all right.
Yeah, bowling's all mental, I reckon, though.
Not bowling as in temperate bowling. Bowling as in like old school bowling. Bowls, I mean, yeah.
No way you could do that. They curl it from about a mile.
I know, I reckon I'd be good at it.
Trying to put a little bit of backspin on it. I honestly think, I don't think I could go pro with all the Chinese, like, prodigies, but I reckon I could get to like semi-pro level at table tennis.
That's going to be one of our sports, isn't it? So say no more, lad.
11-0 you.
Okay, we'll see.
But I've just got one more for you. We got 2 minutes to get on this because there's some. I want to end on this one.
Go on.
Because I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But for the people who are throwing these in on Patreon, when we're in the studio, we'll do at least 3 or 4. But the best ones will get read out. Joe Thach asked, "Is a hole-in-one luck or skill?"
I think it comes back to that cheesy quote of, the harder you train, the luckier you get. I think I'd lean towards more it's luck. I
would love. Because because this is why it's luck, right? I know they drive it to a certain point where, they want to get on a certain point of the course, don't they? Or they'll use an iron to get into a certain position to make it easier. But most of the time when you hit that ball, when it lands, you can't actually see where it's going. So I think when you hit it, it just, it can hit a certain little bit of a run or whatever, and then you're down into the hole. But it's luck for me.
I mean, any golfers, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you hit that ball and it's got potential, like, you can hit it, it's within a distance. You're not hitting it to get it in the hole. You're just hitting it to get it close.
You set your next shot up, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you just think I want to get on the green and it goes in, and it's fucking luck, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree, lad.
Whereas if you said to someone like, I don't know, Trent or Messi or Ronaldo, right, it's a free kick and you just put a little target on the top corner and they would constantly boom, 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 boom in it, then that's not luck, is it?
No, I totally agree, lad. I think the technique to be able to do it is skill, but actually getting a hole in one is luck.
Yeah.
Because if someone said to me, "Is hitting the perfect drive to set up a perfect chip, is that skill or luck?" I'd say that's skill, because I think if they go, right, I want to drive it to 100 and whatever yards, put it on the left hand side so I can chip it. I'd go, yeah, but I think if you hit it and it just happens to hit a little run or whatever, it's out of your hands, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where the whole kind of where you're saying before about the drive, the harder you work, the luckier you get. You're going to be more consistent, you're getting better shots, but it's luck, lad. But all shite.
Good way to end, lad. Yeah.
Right, boss lads. Everyone have a boss weekend. Again, hopefully we see most of these on Patreon. The community's growing and growing each week. There's good 500-600 of you there now. So get involved, enjoy all the perks that come with it, and we will see you on Wednesday. Nice one.